Well, hey everybody. It's my privilege to introduce to you two of our best friends from seminary. We've got Gabe and Lynne Holloway, and I've known Gabe and Lynne since about 2011, I think it was. You guys were just two doors down from us back in the Asbury Seminary days. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Well, Gabe, if you and Lynne, if you guys want to introduce yourselves and tell us your story and tell us about Annie a little bit.
sure. I am a pastor in Lower Alabama, a little town called Daphne, Alabama, and been here since leaving seminary. But Aaron and I got to know each other. Really, Aaron and Renee and I got to all know each other through living a couple doors down in Callis Village at Asbury, and so that was during the time of having our second baby, who we named Annie, and Lynn and I both kind of walked through a pretty tough time there with Aaron and Renee and other friends there, and it was just a really special time. So um, we, I guess the story started in the summer of 2011, and we were expecting our little girl and found out that she had a condition that made it to where she was able to grow and thrive in the womb, but was unable to sustain life outside of the womb. And so that was around the 12 or 13 week mark, and where we found that out. And
Yeah.
so we were presented at that time with the option to terminate the pregnancy or continue on. And long story short, there we decided to continue on and to see her. And there was a strong possibility that she would not make it through the pregnancy, but we both felt like that the Lord was telling us that we'd get to see her and get to see her alive, and we did. November 29th, 2011, she was born, and she lived for about 45 minutes. So we did get to see her and hold her and watch her breathe, and she had a little heartbeat there and passed on. And so it was a good sort of special day for us that we could celebrate her life, but also one of the most painful days of our lives too, where we had to let her go. And so that's been, I guess, more like the start of the journey, because we've really, a lot of the grief has really been more pronounced afterwards. And so
Yeah.
we journey through that with you guys, Aaron and Renee, and we journeyed with lots of friends there at Asbury, and even now, as we've moved on to our place of ministry, we're still doing that here with people that never even got a chance to walk with us through that, but are helping us. So
How did you get to the point of deciding that you were going to carry the pregnancy to full term?
well, it's kind of weird. We When it was presented to us what Annie's condition was, it was kind of like, you can continue on with this pregnancy or not. And there wasn't, they didn't use the term abortion.
Right.
I think it was only later that they actually used the term terminate. And so it was a little bit, I think we were just in the shock of it all. We just weren't thinking about what that really meant.
Yeah.
Um, so for us, it was just sort of like, oh, well, it's just a DNC,
which is still a big deal, but
Yeah.
it what when we first heard terminate or continue on or not, that's what I immediately thought was, oh, it's just it's a DNC process, and that's
And now,
obviously,
what does that stand for? DNC?
oh gosh,
Or I guess, what does it mean then?
Can't remember. The
Yeah.
DNC is a lot of people who have miscarriages go in. They go in, and that's something that they do after a baby has passed away to uh, remove the baby from the uterus, and so that's sort of what at first came to mind, but realized that that's not, that this baby is still alive, and so in the shock of everything, it was just very, you get that kind of news, and your mind is just reeling, and you just can't think straight. And so we had, they gave us some time to think about it, and we just never ever felt that was Annie's story. We felt that Annie's story was different, and that we were to wait and see what Annie's story was going to be, and not make that decision on our own. So that's what we chose to do, and our prayer, the whole time, was that we would get to see her alive, and the doctor had told us that she may not even make it through the pregnancy. 20 it could just happen at any time, and but so we did, though, get to, like Gabe said, she was full term, and we did get to see her. So
I don't know that we had really let people know what the situation was. There were a few sort of insider kind of folks that we talked to about that, but it was a very, I think, private decision for us. And we, the funny thing is a lot of times people from the outside looking in, when we tell them about this, they see it as a moral decision.
Yeah.
And it wasn't really a moral decision for us. It was a very prayerful decision. It was something that we had to arrive to through seeking God. We didn't feel, there was never a sense like, oh, well, this is definitely what God wants us to do.
Yeah.
When we were faced with, do we terminate the pregnancy or not? That was incredibly difficult. And it was kind of one of those moments where it's like, man, I'd never even realized what situations can happen that people would be faced with this. And so we really wrestled with it. It wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't something that we just fell back on our morals and just said, this is who we are and this is what we do. It was very much something that we had to wrestle with and pray about.
Now, this reminds me of the story of Mary visiting Elizabeth. You've got two kind of lives that weren't really supposed to happen. One from a woman who was old and barren, another from a virgin who had conceived by the Holy Spirit. And so Mary had an Elizabeth. Now, you guys had some friends that just lived across the street in Wilmore. Would you describe that relationship a little bit?
Yeah, we met Benson and Josephine Go. I met them actually just standing outside of our townhouse, and Josephine, Joe, is what everybody calls her. She came up and she knew that Lynne was pregnant, just noticing, that Lynne was had a big belly, and came over, and
I was large.
She was large, and came over and just offered, hey, do you guys need anything? Do you guys need any baby clothes? What do you need? And so that opened up for me to just share with her, and she just immediately started sharing with me about her own story of her own little boy Samuel, who passed away several months after he was born. And so it was a very special bond there that was formed pretty quickly, pretty immediately, I'd say.
Several days after he was born.
Was it several days?
Yeah.
Several
days, yeah. What advice do you have for Christians, for people in the church who want to be friends to people in difficult situations?
Yeah. Well, I think, and don't let me talk the whole time here, but I think that what we have to do is really get face to face with each other. And a lot of times, you know, the easy thing to do is just kind of check in and then check out really quickly because you're not sure what to do. You're uncomfortable. I think there's just a lot of value in showing up and just being quiet and sitting with someone and asking them questions that you might feel like you're getting too private. For us, there was no sense of getting too private. Like we really wanted to share Annie's story. We felt like this is our little girl, and the more people just kind of tiptoe around, the more it seems like, well, she really wasn't here. And so the people that really seemed to get it were the ones who could come up and they'd knock on the door and sit down and you know, have a cup of coffee, and they'd say, tell me about Annie. So I think that's something that that we miss out on, and especially just in a world of cell phones and emails and just a quick message, you know, that we miss out on the real bond of being face to face with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, you're talking about Mary and Elizabeth when it was in the face to face interaction, right? It was in the sound of the voice that the baby jumped in the womb. And so I think there's a lot of value in pressing into those difficult moments and pressing into the maybe even what seems a little awkward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of value in that because I think we were built to do those things together. We were built to be in community together.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I think people are so nervous that they're gonna offend or make you more sad or make you go into something that you don't want to. But I don't, like Gabe said, I think someone who's hurting or, you know, someone who's experienced loss, they'll tell you if they don't want to talk about it right then, and most of the time they do. That gives their grief a place to, what's the word? Talking is healing, you know, for most people. And so I think on the outside looking in to someone who's hurting, I just think you should never assume that they don't want to talk about it. I think it would be better to assume that they do, and they're just waiting for someone to approach them or someone to acknowledge their pain and their grief, because you know, when you keep it in, it's so much, I don't know, it's so much harder to heal that way. So
yeah, part of the blessing I think has been just having Annie's story shared all over the world. When we first found out about the diagnosis, I started a blog, and it was really just to update family and friends and really just an outlet for me, but it soon turned into a ministry. And I've heard from people, I mean, literally all over the world.
Yeah, you guys made Christianity Today, didn't you? Is that right?
Relevant magazine, yeah.
Relevant.
I don't know about Christianity Today. I heard somewhere that it made it to what was the radio?
K-Love.
Yeah, K-Love, and
wow.
So yeah, so it's really cool because we just love that this our baby, you know, who was only here for 45 minutes, you know, 9 months in the womb, 45 minutes outside, her name was spoken by so many people around the world, and I think that's such a cool thing. And so I've been contacted by grief counselors who wanted permission to use my writing, contacted by grief organizations, bereavement organizations, asking if they can use some of my writing. And so that's the blessing, I think. I think it's for people who are finding a sense of comfort and even a sense of community, as strange as that may seem, in me writing and what I've written for them and whatever they're going through. So the blessing is still happening. There's a blessing for us, I think, in the perspective that it gives us. It reminds us of, I think, the incredible beauty of 45 minutes, of all the power that can be in 45 minutes. And for what Christ has given us, it keeps us pointed toward heaven, because we have a strong desire. I mean, I've lost my dad, I've lost grandparents, Lynn has lost grandparents, and yet the death of a child has really sparked, I think, the deepest desire to know heaven, to know what's on the other side of healing, what's on the other side of what Christ has for us, and healing not just our spirits, but also healing our bodies. And so seeing our little girl healed, I think that's what excites us. That's why we continue. That's part of why we continue to pursue Jesus.
Gosh, you must be a preacher or something. All right, guys. Well, thank you for taking the time to talk with us. We love you all, and blessings in your time in Alabama. And hang in there for 5 more weeks, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, take care, guys.
All right. Thanks.